Once the opportunity arose for him to close the show, he did it in emphatic style.
Whatever he hits falls.
Oscar Bevis for IFL TV in association with MTK Global. I'm here at the Regis Prograde Josh Taylor press conference and I'm joined by Dominic Ingle. Dominic, you've got Yves Ngarbu, the European champion, fighting Lawrence Okolie on the card. You've been together about a year now. Just talk to me about you two and his training, how you two sort of gelling, etc.
Yeah, he's a good kid, cruiserweight. Obviously we trained Johnny Nelson, great cruiserweight champion, so well averse to training those type of guys. It's a good fight. He's had 20 fights. Okolie's had about 10 or 12, something like that. So he's relatively inexperienced. Obviously had a good amateur career. Tall, awkward, lanky. Had much of it his own way so far. I don't think he's really been in a hard fight. So it's going to be a bit of a tester for him. You know, Eddie's not hanging around with him. He's chucking him at the deep end, and whoever comes through this fight is obviously going to move on to the bigger world stage. So that's basically what it is. Yves 30. He hasn't got time to be hanging around. He can't be, picking and choosing who he fights. He's got to prove himself in every fight, and I think that's where we're at.
You said obviously he's thrown Lawrence in at the deep end there. Did you feel like this is quite a good time to get Lawrence in?
Listen, he's how boxing is now, especially with the Sky Sports DAZN. It's like it's good for boxing because there's always going to be opportunities. Look at Ricky Burns, 36 years old. He's time and time again he's fighting the fight. So all boxers want to do at the end of the day, win or lose his fight. So if Okolie wants to move on, he's got to take the fights what are put in front of him. Whether that's the hard fights or easy fights, whoever's in front of you, beat him and move on. And that's where he's at. He's found himself as a manager for the European, and you can't really turn that down because that's the link to the world stage, through the WBC and everywhere else. So, we'll see. This is either going to be the making him or the breaking of him.
I said this to Lawrence as well, that the winner of this, obviously, Kalasaulin's up there. There's a Cruiserweight World Boxing Super Series tournament going on at the moment. Breeders' Stalkers final. Even out of the 8 fighters and the guys who perhaps didn't make it to the final, there's some massive fights there, and is that sort of
if you look in the top 5, I think Okolie's rated higher than Ngarbu in the world ratings on BoxRec. If you look at the top 5 in those ratings, they're all dangerous. I mean, obviously Uzyk's going up to heavyweight, but it's a dangerous division to be in the top 5, and I personally don't think that Okolie could mix with any of those. And I think we'll see when he boxes Ngarbu what his level is. But, obviously a good amateur.
Is there any particular performance of Okolie's you've seen that you base that on?
Well, really, no. Against Chamberlain, what kind of fight was that? What do you think about it? It was rubbish.
Well, it was an entertaining fight, and I've said that to Lawrence.
It looked like they were both scared to death of each other. So that's what I thought. And then I saw him against Camacho, and that's a fighter who's probably been on his last legs for the last 3 or 4 years, and it took him, I don't know, 5 or 6 rounds to finish him. So that's where you're at. I don't think he's got a lot of confidence. I think he gets confidence from what he does, but as soon as somebody gets past what he's got and starts putting it on him, I think he starts to fold a little bit. So, I've watched some of his amateur stuff. I've spoken to a lot of people with him in the amateurs, and I've got a good idea of what he's about, and it's about making him crack. And keeping the pressure on him. And even Ngarbu's a tough kid. He's from the Congo, and he's tough. And we'll see.
Moving on, I just want to talk about Kell Brook, back training in the Ingle gym.
Back training's been a couple of weeks. He's been on and off for the last couple of months. Touching his toes in the water. Maybe boxing in December. We'll find out. But he's had a good 4 weeks full training back. He's looking all right. He's still got
Saudi
his
Arabia possibly.
I have no idea. I mean, people keep saying this. I don't watch a lot of stuff on social media. I know somebody said that Eddie mentioned it, but if that's the case, it's a good time for him. And it'll be a good fight to come back on. So yeah, we'll work to that day if that's what it is. But I'm looking to speak to Eddie after this interview, and we'll just see what's in the pipeline.
Other members of your stable, Liam Williams.
Liam Williams he's constantly in the gym. He's having a good run at the minute. He's just waiting for a fight date. Hopefully that'll be announced soon.
Can we expect a big fight? Because last time out he was saying that
the same thing again. I don't.
Fight.
The thing is with boxing, everybody wants a big fight. He's got his management. I'm the trainer. What I do is I keep him in the gym training all the time. They have probably a week or 2 weeks after they fight. That's what he's had, and then have him back in the gym. So whenever the fight's announced, they're ready to go within about 5 or 6 weeks. So I don't worry too much about who they're fighting or who they're not fighting. My main concern is to keep them in the gym, keep them active. So when a fight date's announced, they're ready to go. So it doesn't really matter who it is at that stage because he's already, 50, 60, 70% fit. So it's just putting the icing on the cake. We've got Billy Joe Saunders back for his next fight. So Nicola Adams is fighting in a couple of weeks' time. The gym's buzzing at the minute. Willie Hutchinson. So yeah, it's quite busy. It's quite active. Everybody's bouncing off each other. Everybody's helping each other along.
In terms of Billy Joe, I say rumours, it's almost anything but confirmed that he's going to fight on the undercard of KSI and Logan Paul. Just your thoughts on that in terms
I think
of
it's
an
good. I
event?
think it's a good move. Listen. We're in the entertainment business, and if that's what's selling and that will sell, and whoever's done the market research think that's going to sell, well, yeah, do it. It can only be good for boxing because it's bringing in a different audience to watch proper boxing. They might be watching two YouTubers, and those people might, the
undercard will be professional boxing.
Yeah, exactly. So you're going to bring in a big audience from a different place who might get switched onto boxing, and if you can retain some of that audience for future fights, that's only good for boxing. I got a lot of people saying, it's ridiculous and they shouldn't be on an undercard to these two people. But like, if they're doing big numbers and they've got a big following, then they're getting all the other fighters are getting exposed and more exposure. It's not, everybody knows that them fighters are not anywhere as good as the fighters on the undercard. It's not that way. So as long as the money's coming in and the exposure's there, it's all good.
Nicola Adams, it's a strange situation how she's become world champion.
Not really, because when you become an interim champion, there's loads of times you get elevated. If the champion can't make it, it happens with the WBA. It happens with a lot of titles.
She would have preferred to, obviously.
Yeah, but listen, a fight's a fight. I mean, she had a tough fight for the interim title, so probably I actually think that the fight she had for the interim title would have been a harder fight than she would have actually facing the world champion. So it's irrelevant, really. If she's good enough, she'll stay as that champion and she'll fight everybody who comes in front of her. So that's the reason why they have an interim. So
And just finally, Kid Galahad, he's here today. You said everyone's back in the gym a couple of weeks after their fight, so he must be back in the gym. He was
back in the gym the Monday after his fight and carried on training. That's what he's a full-time professional. That's the way he works. And we nearly actually had him on 6 weeks after Eddie had a show, I think somewhere, and he could have put him on, but I think it might be Manchester. But we left that one, and I think we've got a final eliminator for the IBF, so we're just going to speak to Eddie about that one in a while and see where we're at. Hopefully in the next couple of months that's going to materialise.
Do you know much about whether there was anything that was pushed for a Josh Warrington rematch? Or?
We put a complaint into the IBF and made a case, and I think that's why they've made a final eliminator against Galahad. I don't think they were ever going to overturn the decision or give us an instant rematch, but they've put us back in the mix straight away for a final eliminator, which I suppose is good enough. That's all you can do.
Who was the final eliminator? Is there a name in
the game? Is Claudio Moreira, so he's quite a tough kid. He's with Al Heyman, I think. Okay. So that's in progress at the minute with negotiations or purse bids or whatever. So we're just waiting. Like I said, Galahad's obviously always in the gym, always fit, ready to fight.
Okay, Dominic Ingle, I'll leave it there because I know you want to catch Eddie. Thank you for speaking to IFL TV, and here we'll catch you soon.
Once the opportunity arose for him to close the show, he did it in emphatic style.
Whatever he hits falls.